Good morning or good afternoon, dear Professor Mark. My name is Camila Hernandez, my partner is Alex Soto, and in this presentation we are going to talk about multiculturalism in education. To introduce our topic, it is important to notice, first of all, that from the pedagogical point of view, the term multiculturalism arises at the moment when certain aspects related to diversity are introduced into education. This means when there is a presence of clearly different ethnic groups for reasons of skin color, mother tongue, religious values, behavior, socioeconomic differences, and more. Here, we present a quote from the author Vernon 2000. And as the author stated, multiculturalism in education institutions cannot be understood as a simple action to facilitate the social integration of students from other cultural backgrounds, or it is not just giving the appropriate education tools to each individual academic reality. Therefore, multiculturalism must be understood as the acceptance of plural realities, as an ideology, in order to introduce a coexistence of plural realities that enrich the educational institution and society with the different similarities and needs of the students.
It is important to note that multiculturalism should be considered as a lifestyle. Therefore, to integrate it into the social classrooms, the teacher must promote values inside the classroom. Values like respect and tolerance. If students respect themselves, then the ability to live with other cultures will be natural. Second, exploring a myriad of cultures. If students are exposed to new cultures every day, or at least every week, they will see that the world is not as simple as they know. The third point to be considered, to give the same opportunities to all the students. And last but not least, being the model for students. If the teacher respects them and shows values, the students will observe it and will include it in their lifestyle without noticing it.
Now, we have certain pedagogical strategies to develop a multicultural environment in education. As an example, work based on heterogeneous groups can be applied. This means groups that are made up of students with different characteristics regarding race, culture, skills, and more. My partner and we think that this methodology can generate that each student in a group feels accepted and integrated. Therefore, prejudices and stereotypes will be left aside. In the same way, communication between students can be used. In other words, activities can be applied in which students work with each other based on questions and opinions that allow them to get to know each other, exchange life experiences, tasted preferences, and more. We also think that other examples of pedagogical strategies that can be applied in the classroom to develop a multicultural environment are group homework assignments. This type of homework can lead to the participation of all students. In this way, those students who present certain differences will be able to participate in the same way that the rest do, and will feel accepted and supported by all their classmates.
Moreover, it is important to take into consideration those authors who have supported the reasons why a multicultural education can be beneficial not only for students but for society in general, as is the case of Quintana, who mentions the Canadian educational system based on multicultural ideas. Nothing that, since 1973, it has promoted programs such as the following: cultural integration, cultural development, edition and publication of works, performing and plastic arts, Canadian ethnic studies, aid to ethnic groups, intercultural communications, fight against racism, multicultural literary creation, attention to immigrant problems, multicultural historical studies, analysis of the ethnic press, relations with the mass media, etc. With this appreciation and acceptance of foreign cultures promoted by the Canadian system, multicultural education has gone from a first model of cultural assimilation to a more human and social model of understanding and appreciation of foreign cultures, taking an interest in them and adopting them with regarding the same positive attitudes.
Then, we have the benefits that a multicultural environment can bring to education. We wanted to mention 3 principal points. First, it allows the diversity of ideas and beliefs from different cultures to promote respect for them. Second, reciprocity and cooperation relationships can be established with all colleagues, without taking into account the different characteristics of each one. Finally, a multiculturalism-based environment can foster innovation and creativity by offering a broader perspective enriched by different cultural forms.
However, multiculturalism can also bring new challenges for teachers. This is because they are forced to practice in a society that becomes more and more diverse in cultural, linguistic, and social aspects, as well as characterized by the growing deepening of economic, religious, and ethnic differences. As an example, teachers may encounter challenges related to grammatical difficulties in the development of the teaching-learning process. This is precisely a problem that can be generated by having students from different cultures and, therefore, different languages. Because of this, we must learn to face the challenges arising from the educational meaning of being together, supporting each other, having an empathic attitude, recognizing those around us in their diversity, and trying to do it from a dialogical and integrating perspective. So, as a gist, the students must know how to interact and how to be participants of society. Likewise, according to Churchill 1989, referenced by Quintana 1992, in multicultural education programs, 3 other problematic situations may appear, which constitute many other difficulties for both students and teachers. According to Churchill, the first problem corresponds to a state of socialization. This means that it is difficult for the minority to adapt to the culture to the majority. In this case, the challenge for teachers and the objective of education is to facilitate the social integration of the minority. The second problem mentioned by Churchill is that the minority can be discriminated by the majority. In this case, the challenge for teachers is to eliminate prejudice and injustice. Finally, the third problem refers to the fact that the minority, already adopted and accepted, suffers from a disparity of status and from a lack of appreciation of their own culture. In this case, the challenge for teachers and the objective of education should naturally focus on reinforcing the subject's self-worth.
In conclusion, we can say that multiculturalism is very important since it favors the understanding of other cultures from a position of respect, tolerance, and freedom. Without this human element, societies will only know the dominant cultures and the other cultural forms will be marginalized. But thanks to the growing global diversity that exists today, the members of a society can lead to manage and respect their differences and take advantage of them. Therefore, the importance of creating a total multicultural pedagogical environment arises. This is not just about using a relevant method, but about bringing all the educational elements together in the effort of a multicultural education.
Finally, to educate in multiculturalism, it is necessary to change the attitudes of the teaching staff and the school institution, to change the relationships that are produced in it. The school should not assume a model of cultural understanding or cultural competence, but a model of social reconstruction in which the culture of minorities is a positive value, and multicultural education promotes the social improvement of students, increasing their self-concept and expectations, breaking the circle of lack of opportunities that sometimes surrounds those minorities. For this, multiculturalism should not be introduced solely through the transmission of content in classroom as a simple information reinforcement through teaching techniques. But we must introduce it into organizational structures and not reduce multiculturalism to mere educational intervention, but to leave the walls of the classrooms and educational institutions to assume protagonisms in other social activities. Thank you very much.